Teamwork makes the dream work, basketball is a team sport, and good things come in threes. So in this video, we're going to name the best big three at every ring total from 0 to 5+. Now before we list this off, I need to describe what I consider a big three. I do want to be a little strict on what I call a big three. Many teams have a big two like the '98 Jazz, and some teams have a big four like the 2017 Warriors. Grouping every championship team's top 3 players into a subsequent big three would make the list way too fluid and defeat the point of calling something a big three to begin with. The only exception I would make is if there's no other options at the ring amount. So to make a long story short, no big twos, no big fours, unless there's no other options. Let's see if you agree with my picks, and speaking of picks, to find the best NBA bets and picks for upcoming games, check out the Game Day's NBA Pick of the Day. You can do that by clicking the link down below. The Game Day is a new sports and sports betting media company built for today's fan. Without further ado, let's rebound onto that list. The best big three to never win a ring has a lot of good options. You got the 2004 Suns with Amari Stoudemire, Shawn Marion, and Steve Nash, the 2011 Clippers with Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin, the 1988 Cleveland Cavaliers with Larry Nance, Brad Daugherty, and Mark Price. But what if I told you that there was a big three that had 3 future MVPs and made it all the way to the finals? That big three did exist, and it was the 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. If the Thunder were willing to max out their salary cap and really try to keep this team together, they could have had a dynasty on their hands. Even at such a young age, this core was finals bound, being able to defeat a veteran Spurs team. Ultimately, they did lose to another big three, being LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Regardless, this is the best big three to not win a ring. The best big three to only win 1 ring comes down to a really close call between the 1983 76ers, the 2008 Boston Celtics, the 2015 Warriors, and the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. That's Dr. J, Moses Malone, and Andrew Toney versus LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love versus Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen versus Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. The Warriors eventually had a big four when Kevin Durant showed up, but with big threes specifically, they only have 1 ring in 2015. This Warriors team already faced off against the Cavs at full health, and we got our winner in the 2016 finals. Yes, they did beat an injured Cavs team in the prior year, but LeBron still took them to 6 games with Dellavedova as the second best player, and then he beat them in the next year. So since history already settled that debate, let's talk about the real close call, the '83 Sixers versus the 2016 Cavaliers. With Dr. J and Moses Malone, you got 2 MVPs in their prime on the same team alongside an all-star guard versus a top 2 player of all time, a top 15 point guard of all time, and an all-star power forward with LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love. Dr. J and Moses Malone as a duo has been to the finals once and beat the Showtime Lakers in their prime. This isn't the early 90s Showtime Lakers that were way too old but still great. This is the mid-80s Showtime Lakers, and the 76ers swept them 4-0. But to be fair to the Lakers, James Worthy in the last week of the regular season did break his left shin bone and miss the entire playoffs, and Norm Nixon separated his left shoulder in the first game of the finals, so the Sixers did sweep a heavily injured Lakers team, though still good. LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love went to 3 finals together in a row, and they won the 2016 finals against the 73-9 Warriors, coming back from being down 3-1. While the 76ers have a better finals record, what LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin did was something we may never see again. Beating a team with the best record in NBA history and coming back down 3-1, that is a special feat that could stand the test of NBA time. Sure, 2 top 15 all-time players on 1 big three is a good argument, but 1 top 2 all-time player might be just as good. This can go either way. You can pick the 76ers and I would have no problem with it, but the Cavs' big three may have beaten one of the best teams ever constructed. Now, if the Sixers defeated a fully healthy Showtime Lakers with James Worthy and Norm Nixon, then we got a different argument here. Until then, this pick goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The best big three to win 2 rings is easily the 2013 Miami Heat. Now, if you consider Kevin Durant's Warriors teams as big threes and not a big four, you can easily give this to the 2018 Warriors. But I honestly prefer to consider that a big four, as they did have 4 legitimate all-stars. stars. The Heat went to 4 straight finals from 2011 to 2014, and they repeated in the middle of that stretch, beating the Thunder and Spurs back-to-back. This big three consists of prime LeBron James, prime Dwayne Wade, and prime Chris Bosh at the very start, but Wade and Bosh were on their decline as the years went on. The best big three to win 3 rings has some of the best choices. You got the Showtime Lakers with James Worthy, Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You got Larry Celtics, aka the original big three Boston Celtics from 1980 to 92, which had Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish. And of course, there's the Bulls of the 90s, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. If Jordan's Bulls weren't on this list, we would have a 20-minute debate breaking down the Lakers versus the Celtics and that 80s rivalry of the time, one of the greatest NBA rivalries in history. Maybe we could save that second place winner for a separate video. This one easily goes to Jordan's second three-peat team that consisted of a monster big three with the GOAT of the sport MJ, one of the best defensive players and rebounders the game has ever seen in Dennis Rodman, and one of the best two-way players the game has ever seen in Scottie Pippen. The best big three to win 4 rings is the only big three to win 4 rings together, and that's the San Antonio Spurs, consisting of Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili, who won during the years 2003, 2004, 2007, and 2014. Now, you could argue that Kawhi Leonard and David Robinson would inflate this big three to a big 4, and that is a good argument. So if there was a 3-player trio that has 4 rings, I would have had this Spurs team swapped out. But since this spot would have been left blank if not including them, I do think it's fair to recognize the greatness of Tony, Manu, and Tim sticking together as a trio for roughly 2 to 3 different decades. The best big three to win 5+ rings is the only big three to ever do it, and that's the 62 to 69 Celtics, which consisted of the legendary Bill Russell, Sam Jones, and John Havlicek. As a trio, they won 6 rings together from 62 to 69. The only year in which they didn't come away with the NBA title was during the 66-67 season in terms of that finals gap. Now, you can swap out the years and have Bill's Celtics include the likes of Bob Cousy, for instance, but the point still stands. Bill's final record and ring total is one that may never be topped, and what he did might just be a record that is unbeatable going forward. So let me know what you think of this list. Do you agree with my big 3 picks? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to dunk on that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on. I'm Rebound Rewind, and I'll fast forward to you later.